What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, you are watching TWA Motorsports, and today got the windows tinted in the dually. So we need to put some stuff back on it. I don't know how far we're gonna get in this video. I would like to do a couple things, but guys, look, here's what we did. 35% entire windshield. I know a lot of people are like, why would you do that? I like the look of it. It really darkens up the cab, especially in a regular cab where you don't have the darker in the back. 5% on the roll-ups, 5% on the back. Look, guys, the factory back was already 20%. And so what we did was we put 5% over that. So we got some stuff to put back in. I think where we're gonna start is I'm gonna clean up the pillars. I'm gonna get those in first. That's just one clip to push those guys in, get them cleaned up and coated. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same exact thing to the mirror, okay? So we need that T30 to screw that thing back into place, get it on there. And then from there, I'm not exactly sure where we're gonna go, but let me get those two things knocked out. And then I'll show you guys, like, this is pretty simple. We do need to, I like to put that piece of plastic that comes back down. Oh, one other thing is I forgot I don't have this in. This piece is clean. And the felts for the window, I'm gonna go over those one more time for both sides, and then we'll get those back into place. But my goal is in this video to hopefully have the door panels in and possibly the bottom of the dash. I'm not really sure if we'll get that far. That is what I'm hoping for. The other thing is I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna send these off to have LEDs put in these, in the switches, because I wanna tie all this up while we're in here. You can see we got a few of the pieces back in. I went ahead and put the lower dash piece in, kind of dressed the dash. You can see I got the mirror in, got the pillars in place, got the felts up top, and this piece around the door frame after cleaning on those for quite a while here, guys. But anyway, we're gonna move on. I need to unplug these and we need to send these switches off. So here's my plan. I've got another switch for here, okay, and I'm gonna order one because I'd like to put fog lights in this truck for this. So I'm gonna send these off to the same guy. I'm gonna wait right now to do the dash or the instrument cluster and the HVAC. I don't know. I'm not ready to send that off right now. So anyway, I need to unplug these, but once we get these unplugged, what we need to do, first of all, they're really disgusting. We need to clean them up, but we also need to pull the little tabs back here. So these, see these tabs? These switches actually pull out of this holder. So I'd like to clean this up really well and reinforce, like this right here seems to be okay. But the pin is gone from the front side that hook it on. So we're gonna have to figure out something when we go back together, but for now, let's get this unplugged, pulled apart, and shipped off. I was actually showing you the wrong clips. It's these up here, not the lowers. It's the upper clips that pull it out of this. And I think I'm gonna do that before I clean, because that'll give me the ability to access, you know, around the switches and whatnot. They still look like they're in good shape and they all work, so no sense in replacing these. Just get them cleaned up. I wanted you to see the difference before I started to brush these. I'm just using a brush and some, actually I'm dry doing it at the first, and then I'm using some chemical guys like interior quick detailer cleaner stuff to go over both the switches and the panels. Now, like I said, guys, we've got on this one, the actual clip on the back side's broken. We got a little bit of the front remaining. I don't have those pieces, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna attach them once we go back together. But this one has the back piece, but it clips on a little crooked, but it doesn't have the front piece. So I may see if I can glue like a tube to that, if I can get it flush. And if I can do that, something where a screw will fit in there, we can attach them just like the factory would have, but we'll get to that. Here's what we got. We got all our switches back, and we're kind of tying into a video that you guys have already seen parts of. Remember, we installed the switch for the fog lights. That is a new GM switch, which I'll list in the description. And then I got a new headlight switch, which we need to pop out of this. And then mainly we need to clean this thing up before it goes back in. So I'm gonna do that off camera real quick. We need to pop the clips out to get this old switch out. And then I've got all my new switches in a box here. You can see I bought new GM stuff, and then I sent him the old window switches because they were all working and in good shape. But got a new GM headlight switch with now LEDs behind it. So guys, East Coast Gauge Repair, I will list his info in the description down below. He's a great guy. Quick turnaround. I know it's been a while since we started this project, and you guys have seen some other stuff go down on the truck, obviously, but it's just because of me doing other stuff. But anyway, let me get this thing cleaned up and we'll pop these new switches in. Look how good that looks, all cleaned up. So now I've got the dash cleaned up kind of behind it. I cleaned all the way around this, took this all apart. Looks way better. Use some Chemical Guy Silk Shine after some, just thought I caught something. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, all we gotta do is plug the only two switches, so just your headlight switch and your fog light and cargo switch. We'll get this thing put back in. Well, check it out. These are LEDs. Now these are more bluish, and he said that he had to tone them down because they were even more blue. But the downside is the aftermarket switches, even though it's a GM switch, they kind of changed it. So if you've got a good factory switch, it's going to look more uniform like this. That's the only downside, but I'm happy with it. And this LED backlay that you see, you guys can see that, it's so much brighter, looks nice and crisp. That is what he did on the window switches as well. The next thing I want to do here is I want to get these cleaned up. I've got my spot bot right there, and the only thing I'm using that on is the carpets. See how the carpets are kind of gross looking? The rest of this will clean up with something else, but I do need to go ahead and pop everything out. I'm going to get the bolts out of this. I'm going to take this guy out of the way. And then I'm gonna use my vacuum to go over it real quick, but then we will fire up the spot bot. I got some warm water, got some super clean, and a little bit of simple green. So we're just gonna kind of mix it up and see if we can get this thing a lot better looking. Now you can see that I've taken the speaker grill out, the armrest out. Now we're gonna use a little, I don't remember if this is super clean or I think it's super clean. I'm just going to agitate this a little with the drill brush. Then we're going to go over it, just the carpeted areas, with the extractor. It's got a bunch of junk on it. This will just make it look a lot nicer, that's for sure. See how much is all over this panel. They're in awesome shape, but they obviously, I mean, there's a couple chips here and there, but obviously setting out somewhere, I guess. Now these are from a 2003, I believe, so they, I don't think we'll have any issue with them fitting in the dually, but there is not that Torx fitting that goes in the back. I'm hoping that we don't have an issue with that. But now, let's fire up the extractor. We'll hit this area. I'm gonna do the exact same to that area up there. may go over those areas one more time, but in the meantime, let's hit these areas. Shouldn't take much. This is mostly on the surface. Looks pretty good. I will probably, like I said, go over that one more time. Those areas. And that panel will be finished. Now that we've got it cleaned up and kind of dried off, I've got some of the 17223, which is the matching color here. And I'm just gonna go through and touch up a couple of the spots that are, you know, kind of shining through. And I'll probably do this a couple times because it'll soak through. Guys, this stuff is not cheap, but you know, there's a couple chips here from people dragging their feet in and out. And while this doesn't technically fix it, you know, like to look like new, it definitely keeps your eye from drawing to it, because the color underneath this is like a, I don't even know what color it is. It's just kind of foam looking. And so just touching it up, now maybe our eyes won't be drawn to it. And this is low in the door, so it doesn't necessarily matter. But like I said, I'm gonna probably do this a couple times because it'll soak in. Just looking for any imperfections, maybe that, a couple there. I'm just using a touch-up brush. Look for any spots that are scuffed. But I want to do this and then let it dry, and then we'll put some coating on it. And then, like I said, I may go over that one more time. I don't know. It looks pretty good with just one pass with the extractor, so I may not have to. I'm going to set this one aside now. I think I've got it all touched up that I want to touch up. Sure looks like it. I'm going to set it aside, and then we will go grab the other one and do the exact same thing. Now, for the most part, I've got all my parts clean, but I want to show you a couple things that I reinforced. So one is the piece on the leading edge of the handle that holds the backside of the switches, okay? I reinforced that with some JB Weld, so it's nice and sturdy. But then I want to show you over here, we're getting ready to reassemble these things, and really these pieces need to all go in at the same time as the handle to keep from breaking them. But these, you can see I've got kind of coated. I reinforced that, was completely broken off. These happen to be in place, but you can see kind of why they need to go in at the same time and why that rear holder is so important. So I'm going to go ahead and get these re-fastened with just the 7mm from the back side. I did the same thing. This one was busted as well. Not a bad idea to reinforce those, guys. Even if they're not broken, which I've never taken a set of these apart that weren't broken. Just a flaw from GM. But even if they're not broken, I would dab some JB Weld or some sort of epoxy down in there to keep things square. But I'm going to put the switches in last because they'll push up from the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and assemble the handle and the door now. I got it installed. 1 screw, 2, 3, 4, 5 total, I believe. 2 that hold the handle up from the back. Let me see if I can show you guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all in. So the last thing I need to do, you can see that I've got it all cleaned up and I've got it coated. It's not going to look like this. I'm going to wipe this off. I like to let it set on here and kind of soak in. But we obviously got to push the switches up in through there that I got back from East Coast Gauge Repair with all new LEDs in them. But my pocket, guys. That is the hardest pocket in the world to clean. I've got it sitting over here. I've went over it like 2 or 3 times. I think I'm gonna have to get my steam cleaner out, and I just can't get in those areas right there. I may have a smaller brush I'm gonna try, so we're gonna try that next. If not, I'm definitely gonna have to get my steam cleaner out and see if we can get that broke loose. Here's where we're gonna start. These had an original protector, remember, that goes over the door panel. So what that does is kind of keeps dust and debris out of the truck. I am going to be reusing it. So I'm gonna go grab it. I've got them over there, I kept them. And then I've got my detail brushes. This has got a little dust on it. I'm gonna knock off real quick, but we'll tape, I'll probably have to tape those on with some, just probably masking tape is what I'll use in order to keep them in place. The old glue is long covered and probably won't last. So let me go grab those, and we just need to, you know, thread our lock rods and stuff through it. We may have to take this 10 out because I think it actually sandwiches behind there. In fact, I know it does. You don't necessarily have to tape it on the bottom. Like, I'm not gonna mess with that because it'll just gradually go into place. I did have to stretch it around my speaker, as you can see. You had to poke this wire through for the light, which I actually don't have yet. And you need to make sure all these line up, these little flaps where the actual panel sets in. This one right here, this rod does not go through, but this lock rod right here does, or the door opener rod. So yes, you do have to take this off with the 10mm, slide it forward, unhook this, run it through, put it back on, put the 10 back in it. I don't know, I'm having trouble because this is so much bigger, rolling this back like I had said. Man, it's getting dusty. But I'm gonna attempt to maybe trim some around the speaker here, some of the plastic off so it sets a little nicer and I can roll that back, because I think, guys, we're gonna have a problem getting the panel on if this won't roll back. This is gonna wanna push up against it and give us a fight. That was relatively easy. I just took a razor blade and trimmed around it. Now you can see it's folded over. So now all we need to do is we're gonna have to press our switches in from the bottom, and we also have to hook them up from the bottom, because technically, guys, the switches aren't supposed to be out. Okay, like this truck, like the green truck here, you can actually pull the switches out and unplug them. This you have to do from underneath, kind of looking up at everything while it's getting plugged in. So we're gonna do that as we go on with the panel, but yeah, I think the panel is ready to go into place at this point. A couple things you need to take note of, obviously plugging all this stuff in, but don't forget to loop this guy through. Otherwise, you're gonna be trying to fish it out of there while you're after you get the panel on. Now, here's what I've learned about these door panels. If you take your time, you can get it in there, okay? Sometimes you'll get all the clips in for like the door handle, and like these outers won't want to come in. So just work with it. You'll have to push in on that to get those clips to engage. The bottom ones seem to line up the best, but there's only 2 screws since we're switching to the newer style door panel. Now, if you remember, this one is a 2006, and they put an additional piece right here we will not be using. These door panels came off in 03, which is why you see this pattern in here. I kind of liked it, and they were in decent shape, so I picked them up. Snapped the switches in from the bottom, got them all plugged in, but before we actually lock this thing down, I want to test them, and the only way to test them is we have to install the switches only on the other side, because it completes the circuit. It won't work without it. So let's give that a shot. Let's turn the key on, try to roll the window up and down, also try to move the mirrors, make sure everything works before. I mean, there's only 2 bolts that hold this thing in if we have to take it off. There's one little guy that goes right here, make sure this piece doesn't fall out when you're putting it in, and then there's another one that goes right in there. That's it. That's all that holds this thing in place, other than the clips on the backside. Got everything plugged in on both sides. I just tested it. Speaker works, up and down, the windows work, locks work, both mirrors are working. So we are good to go ahead and get our 7mm put in place, and then all of our covers. We now have it all locked down, looking really good. Got all the panels in, got the bolts in, everything's working, got our lock and unlock. I will tell you, this is dragging a little on that kill mat, the rod for the lock, so it doesn't quite want to swing, but I think it'll eventually wear a spot in it. But other than that, I still got to get some of these things are, it's very common for them to break, and so I also want to put some LEDs in this, obviously, while I have it apart. But let me go knock the other side out real quick, and then we'll turn it on and take a look at our new LED switches, because remember, like I said, East Coast Gauge Repair, which I'll list them in the description. He went through and did these, and he also did these at the same time. Like, I'm just kind of working my way through pieces as we go. Now, I'm still gonna try to source another set of these, but I've got my last fit LED. Let's see if okay, it's working. This one's the one that came off of one of these door panels, and it's not in the greatest shape, but it's also not terrible. It's together, at least. The problem with these is the lens separates over the years. You know what? Now that I look at it, it may not stay in place. We'll give it a shot, though. Oh, it may. Yeah, the lens is starting to separate up top, so I need to get me another set of those, but for now, that'll keep that wire from getting caught on anybody's leg or, I don't know, in the door. Definitely looking a lot better. Absolutely insane. So I'll show you guys the door panels because I have them here, and they're just trash. These are the originals that came on this truck, and you could see they are just beat up. They're the cheaper ones, so they don't have the carpet up top or the carpet down below. But I think we did a nice little upgrade here. Are these perfect? No, but man, they're in really good shape. I did spend a lot of time like cleaning. You guys saw me go over it with that, but let's close the door, since now the windows are all tinted. It'll be nice and dark in there, and we can see our new LED switches. Now we're in the truck. Of course, there's a light shining through right there, but look at how bright those are. Let's cover this up. Also, new LEDs in this, and then eventually, guys, I'd like to do this. And of course, we're not going to keep the factory radio and the AC. Now, this guy right here cannot be opened up to put an LED in. So a lot of people will put this back behind, leave it on whatever setting they want, and put the pocket there. But you can see the LEDs, how much better they look, and everything's working. That's what's exciting. And then, of course, when we open the door, take the key out, we should have our light. Oh, I wonder if my dome overrides on. Should have our light down there. Yep. And of course, the lights in the ceiling with the new headliner, it looks a lot better. I think this is where we're going to end this video. Got the new door panels in. Obviously, we got a few new switches in with the LED backlighting, thanks to East Coast Gauge Repair. Guys, go check them out. Got new LEDs in the door. It looks so much nicer. Now, I think the next thing on the interior of this truck, you'll notice that I've got the bottom of the dash in, but I don't have the bottom, the knee bolster. I don't have the radio surround. And the main reason I haven't put that in is because we're gonna have to tackle the carpet and the seats. Okay, the seat has a rip in it from getting in and out, which is very common on these. This seat's not in terrible condition, but I'm kind of at a standstill trying to figure out what I want to do here as far as seats go. We do have to take the seats out because we're gonna have to clean the carpet, and I think that'll be the next video on the interior of this thing. But aside from that, guys, we do have part of the lowering component for the front. Obviously, we're going to get the front of this down, so that may be the next video you see on this. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to start. So I'd like to get some stuff moved around out here in the shop before I tear the carpet out, because I like to have a big open area in order to work on, you know, going crazy in OCD, because we're going to use that same kill mat on the floor and on the back of the truck that we used on the roof. And you can kind of see pieces of it down the pillar. So the pillars are still sitting over there. They're out getting ready for the interior cleaning. But hopefully you guys are enjoying this stuff. If you are, please, like always, go down there and smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you are not subscribed, go down there, hit that subscribe button. Of course, like always, ring that bell notification. That will notify you every time we drop a new video. And stay tuned to see what we do on this truck next.